There she is, boys. There she is, the AFUL Explorer, finally. Hello and welcome. I'm A from A Tech Reviews. Welcome to the channel. Today I'm super happy, not just because I got this excellent, marvelous item, but also because actually it sounds really good and exceeded my expectations, and I think maybe we have discovered a gem here. So let's get started. We have a lot of things I want to cover and I want to talk about. Let's start with this IEM. I will talk for less than a minute about the unboxing experience quickly, in less than a minute, what you get in the box and so on. And then I will move on to describing the build. We'll look at the IEM together, and then I'll describe the sound quickly, and then I'll compare it to some of these IEMs that I have here, which I believe are close to this one in price. Before I start, the price of this one, because you guys always ask, I was told this will be around $120 if I remember correctly. Let's get started. All right, so this is the AFUL Explorer. It's a one dynamic 2BA IEM from AFUL, and I saw it actually first in CanJam Singapore when I went there, and it was marketed by the name of Performer 3. I love that name a lot. Actually, I was a little disappointed when they kind of changed it, but when you look at it now, I kind of understand. This is not your regular AFUL IEMs. It's like a whole other beast and has a lot of improvements that we need to talk about. Specs. You can see this is a 26 ohm IEM, and it has these specs and stuff like that. The main features that you get to see is it has like a self-developed wide frequency response balanced armature unit. It gives you like high frequency range. It's developed by AFUL themselves. And then you have the 3D pressure balance technology, which is a 3D cavity inside of this IEM itself, and it balances like tuning, nozzles, and stuff like that. And then you have a micro resonator technology, like the one in the MagicOne, and then you get an RLC net frequency division. The difference of the AFUL IEMs always is this RLC net frequency division. It's like using a crossover, but it's like more calculated, and it fixes a lot of the inherent deficiencies in the drivers themselves that are not fixed by crossover. So anyway, in terms of what you get in the box, it's pretty simple actually. That's it. You get a carrying case and you get the IEMs themselves. Let me get this one out of the way. This is the case that it comes with. You can see here I wanted to show you guys the case. This comes with the AFUL Performer 5, AFUL Performer 8, and the MagicOne. Here they have gone in a different direction, it seems. This is a bit softer still. Carrying case. It's very hard and nice. And it only comes with a cable, and as you can see, literally, this is the only thing it comes with. This generic type of hard silicone ear tips, and this is the white, softer silicone ear tips. This is the only part I don't like about this IEM, to be honest. I kind of wish they provided more, especially at this price, like maybe a white bore IEM ear tips, or maybe like a different IEM ear tips. Like, I really feel bored of these ones, and although they perform very well, they do the function, but I just feel that there are other options out there that provide better comfort, at least. This is like a soft material, and it's very nice. Like, you could fit this in your pocket, unlike the other one, and I find this very nice. Moving on to the IEMs themselves, they come with this. Let me put them here for a second. We'll come back to them. They come with this cable, and as you can see, the 2-pin 0.78 connector has a curved edge. Not my first choice. You can of course upgrade or side grade and use the cable you like, but this is what we have. You have your two ear hooks. The color of the cable is not my favorite, I'm being completely honest, but it's very flexible, it's very soft, it's covered in this like sheet material. And the chin slider here, the cinch, is like very easily sliding all the way because of that material, or that cover that's here. Kind of see here it's divided into like two cables, and they're intertwined together. And unfortunately, there's no interchangeable plug system, so you kind of get like 4.4 or 3.5. Like, you don't get to choose. This is also another aspect. I wish they would have included a interchangeable plug design. I think it's like kind of provided in many IEMs now, and we kind of expect that. Let's have a look at the IEM themselves. This is what they look like. You can see here the sheer beauty. It looks absolutely beautiful, absolutely wonderful. AFUL and Explorer. I think this like represents maybe the galaxy or something like that with stars in it. It has like a slight shine, like glitter, and it looks absolutely wonderful and marvelous. About the build itself, it is made out of resin material with a surface polish to give it that shine. It's very lightweight, and you can see here the vent position is kind of like in a strange position. First time for me to see something like this. They put the vent here so that when you wear them in your ears like that, you never have to cover it with your ears or anything like that. So pretty nice. Another thing is it is very small in size compared to many IEMs I have. It's very small in size, and the 2-pin connection, I think it's like the flush type of connector. So that's it. The nozzle diameter is on the average. It's actually slightly below average, or you could call that average. It's very nice. It makes it easy to wear them. They feel very comfortable. Like if we talk about comfort and fit, they sit very well. They're very small, literally. And when you put them in your ear, just for me, I use XL ear tips, but other than that, they fit very well. And that's it, what I have to say about them. Now, let's start to describe the sound quickly. AFUL IEMs have been one of these IEMs that sound great, very detailed, very smooth and everything, but I always had this point, or like maybe like something I don't like about them, which is the bass. The bass was considered, I'll be honest, I'll say it, it's weak. It doesn't have that impact, it doesn't have that strength, and I'm not the only one that complain about that. If you go online and you read reviews and you see other people, many people said the bass is the weak point. I agree, the bass is the weak point. It seems that finally someone from AFUL heard, and boy, oh boy, like what they did here. Man, it's like AFUL is flexing its muscle with the bass. Let's talk about sub-bass rumble. Insane. All right? The sub-bass impact is powerful. The rumble is there, and it has that very clear sound, you know? And it doesn't only stop there. The mid-bass, it is a bass-boosted IEM. It's not like an IEM for bass heads or anything like that, no. But I would put the bass here as in line with something like the binary Chopin. But very focused, very powerful, punchy in your face. And the slam, like I think like AFUL is flexing its muscles here. It's like saying like, hey, you want to see bass? You want bass? I'll give you bass. There you go. That's why I say it sounds very strange compared to other AFUL IEMs. This is not the regular AFUL tuning that we get. Other than that, the bass has a lot of texture. It is very punchy. As I said, it has an excellent, very powerful slam. It is meaty. When I listen to a lot of the songs, the bass guitar sounds full and it has authority. It's in your face and it's so powerful, so powerful. It really has a big focus in the sound, which makes me say the sound signature of this IEM is a neutral with a bass boost, but a powerful bass boost, man. A very clean, well-defined, textured bass boost. Moving on to the lower mid-range, there is a clear separation between the two. There's zero bleed into the lower mids, although some of the qualities of the mid-bass are carried over to the lower mid-range, and they give many instruments their full body presentation, and they give the male vocals the thickness that they naturally have. So many voices, especially male voices, sound natural, and you get like the instruments sound, as I said, full-bodied. Like guitar strums, for example, sound wonderful. When we move on to the upper mid-range, it is delightfully done. This is not the Harman tuning, and I actually kind of like that, as I have seen and compared it to like Elysium Pilgrim IEMs and stuff like that. Even Sennheiser IEMs, 64 audio IEMs. These IEMs don't follow the Harman target curve in the lower and upper mid-range region, and I think AFUL does here too. What this gives you is an IEM that never, ever sounds shouty or shrill, no matter what you do, especially with higher pitched vocals and higher pitched instruments, things like electric guitars, trumpets, and you know, like drum kicks and cymbal strikes and stuff like that, that carry even have some of the upper mid-range. They never have that shouty quality to it. The vocal presentation is very, very clean and intimate. Everything, like from the vocals, sound very articulate, very detailed, very clean, and very realistic. They have that quality of being realistic and close to your ear. Like, this is one of the things about this IEM also. It is very close to your ear. Vocal presentation is very intimate. And the female vocals, they have that well extended quality to them. They sound a bit realistic. They carry on with extended frequencies, but they don't have that sharpness to it. Sibilance, zero. Literally zero. All the detail in the world with zero harshness. Moving on to the treble, I think the treble is very well done, well tuned. It's very incisive. It is very, very clear. Cymbal strikes and stuff like that, hi-hats, they sound very clean and detailed, realistic, never harsh. This is something I find in most of AFUL IEMs. They excel in the treble. If you look at, for example, a lot of the treble frequencies, they have that air quality. That air quality is here, but it doesn't sound wide at the same time. I'll explain. But it sounds very realistic, very incisive, the transients are very fast and snappy and very realistic. That's how I could describe it. It's smooth, it is detailed, it is comfortable. You can raise the volume, you can listen to harsh music like metal music, hard rock music, EDM, pop, K-pop, J-pop, whatever. It never sounds harsh, yet you get all the detail in the world. That is something that I've only seen in a few IEMs from a few brands, and AFUL is one of them, but it seems here they did that, but they carried the detail up a notch. Actually, they carried the detail up a few notches. Well done, well done. That's how I'll describe it. Coming here to the soundstage, I will say it has an average soundstage, and maybe it's leaning more to being intimate. Everything sounds more intimate and close to your ears. I'm not sure if this is because of the size of these IEMs, or maybe it is something inherent in the drivers themselves. It's not bad though. The intimate presentation is something that is wonderful, and I actually love it. It sounds very close to your ear, and that is something to experience. It's a nice change. There is some depth and some width to it, but it's not like other IEMs that could sound a bit wider. That actually sounds good when you talk about vocals, because the vocals sound very close to your ear. Another thing is the imaging is excellent, because the treble is very well detailed. There's a lot of micro detail and macro detail. You can hear a lot of the nuances in your music. And at the same time, when there is imaging, you can pinpoint everything in the 3D space. The localization of the spatial cues is actually well implemented and well done. Speaking of technicalities and detail retrieval, way above average for this price point, and I will explain in a moment. Very well done. I think it is very, very well done. You can hear everything. Like, you have to experience this for yourself, because usually any IEM that has a lot of detail retrieval, unless it is very expensive or some of the few brands that can really do that, usually it has some harsh elements somewhere. Maybe in the upper mid-range, maybe they sound shouty, shrill, or maybe there is some sibilance involved, or maybe the drum splashes are splashy. The hi-hats or cymbal strikes are splashy, excuse me, but you rarely find that level of detail and smoothness combined in one IEM. And that's what we get here. The technicalities are way above average for this price point. A lot of details, a lot of information, a lot of micro details, and it still sounds dynamic, it still sounds clear, it's never harsh or sibilant or anything like that. Very easy to drive. You don't need to get the 4.4 or anything like that. It's very easy to drive, no problem here. It improves with the quality, of course, of your amp or DAC, but usually any dongle that has like average quality is usually enough, in my opinion, and it will help get that. But I noticed if you use a better dongles or better implementations of some DAC chips, if you use something more resolving, you will begin to see the benefit of the technicalities that an IEM like this offers, and you'll still get that clean bass response that I talked about. Now, moving on to the segment where I'll be doing a comparison. which is my favorite segment. I will be adding some graphs to this video later if I have the time. Anyway, so I will hold this here randomly, and I'll just speak about my experience listening to them with my own ears. So what do we have here? Yume Midnight and a Critical Edition, something like that. I love this IEM, but it has an 8K peak. That sounds a bit sharp to my ears with some songs. It's not always there for classical, it's great, but for some other songs, harsh songs on rock and metal, it's a bit harsh sometimes. So there you have it. What are the differences? I just wanted to compare it here because the bass, I can't believe I'm saying this, the bass of the AFUL is much better than the Yume Midnight. And this was released a long time ago, it's an old IEM, but just when I compare them, I just began to see how far we have improved. The level of detail and dynamics that are offered by the AFUL Explorer blow the Midnight out of the water. Like, it's not even in the comparison here. Like, this is how good this is. This is still sold, by the way. It's more expensive. This blows it out of the water, and I can't believe I'm saying that. It's much, much, much better that I will not even begin to talk about it. Let's take the Truth Ear Nova, one of my favorite IEMs at this price point, and a benchmark and a reference. If we look at them before we compare, they have the blue comparisons here. You can see, of course, this has a bigger body, a bigger ear shell, which could be a little, like for me, this part, this bulbous protrusion here, was slightly, just slightly uncomfortable. It began to fall from my ear sometimes, this part. The AFUL is much smaller, so the fit is much better. You can see the shape even. This is like very big. It has 4 BAs, I think, and 1 DD. This is 1 DD, 2 BA. And I will tell you honestly, this has less mid-bass, maybe less sub-bass impact, I think. And when I look at the, when I listen to the mid-range, it sounds thin, in my opinion. Of course, this is the only thing I have here. You can raise it a few notches, a few dBs with EQ, and you get a very good IEM. But other than that, like this, the bass here blows this away. It's insane, so powerful, so strong, so meaty and slam, and has an excellent slam. But other than that, I think the mid-range on the Explorer 3, excuse me, I keep saying Performer 3, is much better. And what I mean by that is the Nova is tuned for the Harman curve. And the Harman target has, depending on your sensitivity, for some people could sound harsh due to the elevated ear gain region or the upper mid-range region. For some songs, not always, of course, but it has that tendency with higher pitched vocals, with higher pitched instruments to get that effect. If you listen to screams in music or like Adele with her high pitched vocals, you begin to notice that sometimes you find yourself wanting to lower the volume a little bit, right? That is what I'm talking about. The person who tuned AFUL, I kind of feel he tuned it by ear because like this is made so that you can listen and the vocals sound more realistic and honestly much better, but they never get that range where they feel shouty. That's what I want to say about them. Treble, like a bit similar. I have to say, other than that, this sounds a bit more wide. This sounds a bit more intimate. And honestly, the Explorer, I can't believe I'm saying this, has much better technicalities. And yeah, like noticeable. When I listen to them side by side, it is noticeable. So I have to say, if you are a person who doesn't like bass at all, the Nova is the choice for you. Thin vocals, yeah, thin lower mid-range. Instruments don't have that body, yes. Male vocals sound a bit thin, yes. Lean, but it's an excellent IEM. It has a lot of detail. Everything else is well-tuned. Small tendency to sound sharp or shouty if you raise the volume or if you listen to genres that are prone to that. Other than that, an excellent IEM. The Explorer is a bit cheaper and, in my opinion, outperforms the Nova on all aspects, from fit to comfort to detail retrieval to bass. It's like insane. Instruments sound full-bodied here. Everything is almost perfect. That is my opinion. Now, when we move on to the Kiwi ears, This is the Kiwi ears, what do they call this? The Quartet, I think. It has 2 dynamic drivers in an isobaric configuration, titanium diaphragms, and blah blah blah. It has 2 BAs. And it has these like switches here, which are very confusing. Like they have, like, you can see it says on and then 1. Like I don't know like which one is on, which one is off. Anyway, I've tested this extensively. I've measured it extensively. It was like a pain to keep doing the switches when I'm listening and then to just measure it and listen. Anyway, if someone makes an IM good, it's good. You know, that's just my opinion. But anyway, comparing them together, they are very close in price. Comfort here, I have to say this protrusion that you can see here, this elevation makes it a bit uncomfortable for me. Not a lot, but it is just there when I put it in my ear. Sometimes it's pushed out. I love the look of the Kiwi ears. I like the purple color a lot. But this IM from Kiwi ears, I'll be honest, it's not my favorite. They have done other better IMs, in my opinion. Kiwi ears is an excellent company, and I have their other IMs and I love them. If you guys want me to compare it, I can do that. But this one is not my favorite. Why? Because it's like extremely bloated bass. It's muddy bass. It's not clear. It doesn't have good texture. A lot of bass lead, and doesn't have a lot of technicalities. Actually, it doesn't have good technicalities for this price point. I'm being honest. I've listened to IMs that are much cheaper from other brands that have better technicalities than this one, which makes me say, why are you going to pay $109 to get an IM like this? That's just my opinion. The brand does much better IMs, but that's just my opinion about this one. Comparing it to the AFUL, night and day difference when you A/B them. The AFUL has much better bass, much better detailed bass, very good sub-bass rumble. You get a lot more technicalities. The bass shelf is clean. The male vocals are clean. The bass bleed is almost minimal, and the amount is there, gives the vocals the thickness they deserve, gives them the full body for the instruments and so on. So the treble is much more clear and detailed. This has like a slightly dark presentation to the treble. There's no reason, like, I don't know what to say, like it's over here. It's like over. This is a very warm tuning that's not to my preference. There are other better Kiwi ears. This one destroys it. Now when we get to the AFUL MagicOne, a favorite of mine actually, you can see the resonator technology here. This is the resonator. Literally, this is the resonator here. You can see that. And the shell is kind of similar in size and shape. You can see it's not exactly the same, but there are a lot of similarities. You can put them like that and you begin to see the similarities that are there. This is a 1BA, so obviously the bass response, no matter what they say, it's not enough. It's good for a BA, all right? Let's be honest, it's good for a BA, but still it's not the bass of a dynamic driver. And I think like this was AFUL's experimentation with the technology. I think they were trying to understand what to do with it. And I think here when they said in the marketing material that they are combining the technologies of the Performer series and the MagicOne series, I think they achieved that because they use the micro resonator technology here and they use the RCL from the Performer series here. And the end result is that this has all the detail retrieval of this, but much more. Has, like, this is a BA and they achieved very good bass response here. Now imagine when they use that with the dynamic driver. Imagine what they achieved here. That's how I would describe it. And just again, this is much better. It's not even a small degree of comparison. It blows it out of the water with details, with bass, with instrument separation, even the treble. Like, I see no reason for this to exist except for the price. For the price point, it's an excellent IM. Other than that, I don't have anything else to say to compare it to this one. To say even this has any aspect that is better than the Explorer. Well done, actually. And then in the end, we get one of my brands that are close to my heart. I love them a lot, actually. It is the Simgot EM6L. Now, don't get me wrong, I love Simgot. I love Simgot a lot. But the EM6L, in my personal preference, is not their best IM. It's the least preferred IM, in my opinion. And I have a lot of their IMs, and I love all of them. Like I have the EA500 and I have the excellent EA1000, but the EM6L is my least favorite of the bunch for a lot of reasons. So let's compare the EM6L and the AFUL. So comparing it, you can see here, first thing I don't like about this, all right? The first thing I don't like is the QDC connector. It seems like it's not a Simgot IEM. Like, you know, like since when did they do that? You know, who uses QDC anymore? Except QDC, of course. But the vent, you can see similarities. The vent here is on the outside of the shell. The AFUL has the vent right here, if you can see that. Sound signatures, I think the bass of the AFUL is much stronger, has a much better slam, more punchy, has a better impact. I don't think the EM6L has a very good bass response. The quantity is there almost, but it doesn't have the impact, it doesn't have the slam, it doesn't have the texture that the Explorer has. Even other IEMs, I think they could compete in this part. The vocal presentation of the Simgot is actually very well done, but I think the Explorer sounds much better. What do I mean by much better? I mean it is more clear to my ears, it is more clean, it is more detailed, and it sounds realistic. It sounds like when I turn on my speakers and I listen to them, it sounds much better. You know, like you're listening closer to real life as possible. The detail, the separation of the other frequencies from the vocals. That's what I'm talking about. Sometimes you can feel you're listening to something that is an IM, that's a digital. That's how I could describe it. Anyway, the Explorer still has a lot of detail for its price, and compared to the EM6L, it has a lot of details in the vocals. The EM6L could be a bit too much for my taste. For example, as again, it has that Harman, you know, mid-range that I talked about. And you can hear that if you listen to a song like Dire Straits, Money for Nothing, and if you listen to the beginning of that song, you can begin to see the guitar strums. Here you can begin to, I noticed myself wanting to lower the volume. But with the Explorer, I feel, oh man, it sounds so good. Let me increase the volume even more. It sounds so good, and that is the difference. A lot of more clarity in the vocals, a lot more detail. When we go to the treble region, again, AFUL is the master of the treble, in my opinion. A lot more detail, a lot more clarity, a lot more air, you know. It sounds very airy in that region. A lot more detailed you can hear. Like the EM6L, one of the reasons I don't like it is simple strikes and hi-hats. When I listen here, I could describe it as splashy. There is a zing, that's how I could describe it, excuse me, but there is a zing in the sound of the treble of the EM6L. Not my favorite at all. Could be more detailed and could be less harsh and less splashy. Like, especially, I've been saying, guys, I like rock, I like metal music, I like these types of music, and I listen to a lot of drums. The drum kicks here lack the impact that they deserve, which you can find here. The cymbal strikes and the hi-hats here sound splashy, like it covers a lot of the other frequencies more than necessary. And it doesn't sound as clean or as detailed. But here, everything I talk about here disappears, and it sounds more perfect. Does this deserve the extra price? Yeah. For $10 more? Absolutely. The level of not a bass head, this is not for bass heads. If you're a bass head, this is not for you. When I compare it to something like the Rinko, which I have here, this is for bass heads. This IM is for bass heads. This is not. And there's a difference in the graph and in the amount itself. I just want to mention quickly another IM I compared it to. It's not a fair comparison, but it's this one, the XENNS UP or UP, whatever. I'm not sure if I described it correctly, but I've noticed that there is a similar tonality, not sound quality, tonality, and the curve also confirmed that. And I was just surprised because I was listening to these XENNS a few days ago, and when I put these, I kind of remember that. So before I end this review, I just want to take a moment to compare the Explorer to another IM that I respect a lot, actually. I don't know how to pronounce it. It's called Myer Audio, like CKLVX, whatever. It has a very strange name, but it's an awesome set, sound-wise, which is the most important part. It looks actually still also gorgeous. It costs more than the Explorer, so there is a bit of a price difference, but as you can see, it looks wonderful. I will talk about the build, but first I will describe the sound quickly. They sound extremely similar, although this Myer Audio CK whatever is extremely, not extremely, but just I think 170, 175, something like that. So it's a bit more expensive than the AFUL, which comes at 120. So there's a price difference there, but sound quality wise, they're pretty close. The difference is the AFUL had a bit more bass impact. The slam is harder. And the other thing is that the CK Myer Audio, it has some more treble extension, but at the bit of the upper treble, which sometimes makes it a bit splashy with the hi-hats, specifically the hi-hats. I listen to a lot of rock, I listen to a lot of metal music, and the drums are okay, but the cymbals and the hi-hats, if they are close to your ear in the music, they sound a bit splashy. Over some time, I noticed this makes listening a bit more fatiguing with the Myer Audio. But for other things, other than that, they're pretty much very similar in sound. Detail retriever is almost exactly the same, but of course the upper treble that I'm talking about could give you a slight more sense of air sometimes with that CK, but it's not more detail. If you listen closely, you will find it's the same amount of detail retrieval. Which one I would choose, it depends on the price. Really, they sound almost the same. The only reason for me to say I would choose the Explorer over this is only for two reasons. First is the lack of the splashy upper treble that is found here. It makes me feel fatigued, to be honest. And the other thing is actually, it's really surprising. It's the size and comfort, which is more important. You can see here, it has this protrusion here. Reminds me of the Chronicle Sungolo, which I couldn't wear during Karen Jam because it couldn't sit in my ear. I had to like keep pushing it to stay in. This is the difference. See, that part is really sad because this is also another good IEM, but this part makes me unable to wear it, like completely zero, unfortunately. Maybe for you it will be different, but you can see here for the Explorer there's a bit of a difference in size, completely different in size. It's much smaller and much more comfortable. This is the only main reason. And the other thing is the price. I don't see any reason to pay more. But I have to say, I think the cable here is much better looking. I just had to say that, man. Fair is fair. Preference, I love this cable more from a color standpoint. That's it, guys. That's all I wanted to say. Anyway, that has been my review. If you have any questions, leave them down below, folks. I will reply. And that's it. This has been A-Tech Reviews. And until the next time, see you on the next one, folks. Bye.